Planning a trip to Europe for first timers is a really daunting task. From finding where to go, choosing flights, hotel, and building an itinerary, it's a lot of stress as it is. So in this video, I am here to help you out with that. So for all the first timers today, I'm going to walk you through step by steps as to how to plan your whole trip to Europe. So hi, this is Harshit from Hyper Resident, and on this channel, I share with you my secrets of traveling this whole world. So let's walk you through step by step process of how to build your dream trip to Europe. This is gonna be a pretty long video, but I'm sure by the end of this video, you have all the tools which you need to make your dream travel Europe trip come true. So first of all, let's talk about what is Schengen zone. So most of the touristy and fancy Europe destinations actually falls under the Schengen area. So most probably you need a Schengen visa to enter in that area. So Schengen zone doesn't necessarily consist of all the European countries such as UK, Ireland, Bulgaria, Romania, I believe. So these countries are not part of Schengen area. You need separate visas for them to travel. As of 2024, these are the list of countries which fall under the Schengen zone, and you can have Schengen visa for traveling these countries. So if you enter any of the countries among these and you stay within these country borders, you don't necessarily need to show your passport every time you cross the borders. So once you have wrapped around your head around Schengen zone, let's talk about the Schengen visa that you need from India to travel to Europe. I have made a separate video about the Schengen visa on my YouTube channel. You can go and check that. So briefly, I would say that you need a Schengen visa. You have to go via VFS Global. This is the agency which operates in a lot of countries including India, and you have to forward your application through this agency. Thirdly, deciding how much time you're going to spend in Europe, and that actually depends on how much time do you have, because although a small continent has got a lot of things to see. Since I spent it almost like 2 weeks in Europe, it was barely enough. I did check all my bucket list places, but then I felt I should spend more time in each country, and minimum of 10 days are at least required for you to at least experience what Europe actually is. So for me, at least 10 days are mandatory in Europe. Usually first time Schengen visa providers are being given 1 month to travel inside European countries, but eventually you can get 3 months or even more than that if you're required and you ask for that. So it all depends on your planning. And if you need a 2 weeks itinerary for Europe, I will make a separate video about how I spend my 2 weeks in Europe, and it will be very helpful for you guys. So for that video, stick with me and subscribe this channel and like and share this video. So the next step is where you actually gonna go in Europe. Of course, it is your own priorities and how much and which place you want to see. But Europe as a whole is a very diverse continent, has a lot of things going on. So it all depends on your taste. So you can't really see everything that you want to see in single Europe trip. You have to choose which regions you are going to see in Europe. For example, I chose central, like Germany, and of course Western Europe primarily, and then I flew to the Eastern European countries, but it was a bit hectic. Like for first travelers like me, I was like, I have to see this thing in Europe, I have to see that thing in Europe. But eventually it come down to how much you can actually walk, because like Europe, you have a lot of walking going on. And instead of running around things, I prefer you to stay in one country or two and spend at least 3-4 days in that country easily, so that you can enjoy the vibes of it and not traveling and taking a suitcase from one place to another. So although the traveling times are lesser between the countries and cities, it is not that easy, and I would prefer you to stay in a specific place and enjoy that area instead of running around. Now, after all of this visa and itinerary part, it's time to book your flights to Europe, which is more exciting part. It all depends on which country's visa you're getting. So if you're getting your visa to Germany, I would prefer you get inside via a German airport like Frankfurt or Berlin. Although it might not seem, why would you do that? But just to be on safe side, if you're traveling for the first time, it is better you stick with that rule that you're traveling and your maximum stay has to be in the same country, so that the immigration gets smoother. So while traveling flights, I prefer two-step verification. First of all, it is Google Flights. So I check which country is more preferred in comparison to cheaper flight options. And secondly, when I figure out which country I'm going to fly to, I will then go to Skyscanner to find the cheapest flights in that date range for that country. The Skyscanner parts actually help you to find connecting flights. The second thing is get a credit card. Like I use NeoGlobe credit card for my all expenses abroad. And secondly, I have Standard Chartered credit card which has priority pass with it, which helps me get inside any international or domestic lounge, which give me free food and relaxing area whilst I'm on airport and layovers. Now step 6 is to book your accommodation. Well, after your flight you need to find a place to stay somewhere. Of course, it is important during the immigration process because they'll ask where you're going to stay in the country, so you have to show them that also. So me being from India, I personally like staying in hostels because it is more social and you find a lot of new people, you talk to people, and it's not solitary. Since I'm traveling solo, it's better to find people who you can travel with instead of just staying solo. So for hostels, I prefer booking.com as my go-to app, which gives me discounts also and which gives me good options along with maps as to which area to choose from while booking my hostels, because the area of my hostel has to be nearer to all the attractions as well as close by to the airports or train stations so that I can reach and drop my baggage easily. Also, there are other options like Airbnb or hotels which give you more closure experience, more luxurious experience, and you get your own private property which are good and have good reviews, and the owner are also very helpful. So in that aspect you get a lot of helps from locals as well. For example, taxis or travel or hidden gems which you want to know are good places to eat. So all in all, there's a range of hostels to be the cheapest, then it goes to guest house or Airbnb, and then the hotels which you can stay. So there's a whole range, depends on your own requirements. The next step is how you're gonna roam around Europe. First of all, public transport in Europe is fabulous. I mean, you open Google Map, it tells you the time and the place you have to be for you to go from place A to place B, and you reach place A, you reach on the specific time, and then you find that things actually standing. So the public transport is fabulous. Most Scandinavian countries have lesser public transport with them, so you have to choose your own taxi or drive your own cars by renting them in that area. For that you need international driving permit, which is easy to get in India, and you can check online, go to RTO and check how it is done. So you get your international driving permit and you can use that. But in Europe, if you want to go cheap and don't want to broke yourself, make your life easier, stick to public transport. So for all the trains and flights, I always hop to Omio. It is a very good app, a good tool to find and compare all the flights and train and buses tickets. You can choose and book your tickets on this app. I find this app to be one of the most cheapest and user-friendly experience for booking all my travels in Europe. So for example, if you're traveling from place A to place B, it will tell you all the different buses, all the different trains and all the different flights that you can take and book inside the app very easily. From cheaper to more expensive mode of transport in Europe. So first of all, it is buses, which are very cheap. Take some time, you can sleep inside that. So that overnight buses are also available and they are quite easy to book as well. So one of the more well-known buses companies is Flixbus. It has its own app which I had already shown in one of my videos, and of course you can sleep in that, so it's a good journey experience in my case. So these buses are really cheap and they are good for short distance travels, and of course as a last minute resort if you have missed your train, so that in that aspect it actually helps to get you from one country to another if you don't want to pay so much more for the flights. So the important part is these buses drop you very close to city center, so you save a lot of time reaching your hotel as opposed to traveling from flights which take you much farther, and usually the airports are very far from the main city centers. So the next option is train. Of course, train in Europe are very scenic, very beautiful, and they can be a bit costlier as compared to buses, but then of course they have their own transportation system. They have very beautiful journeys and very comfortable also. There are also overnight trains, so you can take an option of that also. So it's a middle part. It is not that cheaper like buses and not that costly like a flight. But the better part of trains is they will drop you near to city centers. So the train makes up a middle part, not that costly, not that cheap. Unless you're booking them last minute, then it becomes very costly. So keep that in mind. So the last option is you travel via flights. First of all, there are a lot of budget airlines within the Schengen zone. The better part is that they are cheaper sometimes. But the worst part is, first of all, they have the airports which are very far from city center, so you have to travel more via buses or trains to reach the city center. Secondly, there are restrictions of the number or amount of luggage that you can take on yourself, so you have to buy that separately. That makes adds up to the cost of the aircraft itself. So the flights get costlier and costlier with the addition of your luggage. So if you're traveling just with a backpack or small bags, that is very good. But if you're traveling with a lot of luggage, no go. Flights prices go high very fast in Europe. Step 9 is finding out where you're going and then learning the local cultures and languages, at least finding out how people behave in that country. For example, few countries which are very close by and very restricted and have a general of very less empathetic or less friendly environment within the country, as opposed to some countries like maybe Spain, which are very friendly people. People vibe with you and talk to you just walking out across the street. So you have to keep in mind how people behave, so you don't actually look like a fool in front of everyone. Secondly, learning about the local cuisine and what we're gonna eat or we're gonna go, the hidden gems of that country. For that, you can always go to YouTube or you can go to Reddit to ask people what did they like and did not like. Also, there are a lot of locals which give you insight of that specific area on Reddit. So I always go to Reddit or Quora to ask these questions. Apart from that, it is very important to find out if there's any specific event or music concert or something like that is going on when you are traveling in the country, and you can book their tickets also, because I happen to be in Berlin and I was in Budapest when Dua Lipa and Coldplay had their concert in specific countries, and I happened to book both the tickets, which were a bit cheap for me. Since I was already traveling in the country, it was very convenient for me. I got to know about them, I booked the ticket and enjoyed the hell of it. So make sure you find out the event which are happening. For that, there are a lot of local websites for that country, as well as Google. So you can always search it on Google. Also for local cuisine and what to eat for vegetarians, because I am a vegetarian, I have to find out what to eat as a vegetarian, how to find out things. So you go to Instagram, you find out things which are there, you find out hashtags and you follow few pages. Eventually you find out via reels and everything that what you're gonna eat, so that you spend your time eating spaghetti and pizza as opposed to finding out where I have to go. For that, I always use Google Maps. I pin my things where I want to go, so that I know which areas I'm going, how much things are I can explore in that specific area. So I don't spend a lot of time searching things on the go, and I'm just aware that I'm going to go there, I'm going to find these things, I'm going to do these things, I'm going to eat that places, and that's it. So make your life easy, stick to Google Maps and pin all the things that you want to do. So last thing in this whole video is choosing what to pack. I'm a big believer in carrying as less as possible, because you have to pick your things up. It's better to change lesser clothes and get them dry clean as opposed to carrying them all along. And of course, Europe has cobblestone streets which are pain in your feet, so it's better to get lighter and get your things inside a small backpack as opposed to traveling a huge backpack which you have to carry to yourself, because taxis, they are costly. You have to walk your own feet on cobble streets. So of course, the best choice is to pack as light as possible. So it's always recommended to carry small suitcases, which are, first of all, they are cheaper in flights because you can carry them in your cabin luggage. Secondly, they are easier to carry because of course you have to carry them in the cobble streets of all around Europe. So I personally make a list of everything which I need, and I just keep in my Apple Notes, and then I can just click them one by one. I'll share a list of everything which I carry wherever I'm going. So all in all, there are laundries available across the Europe, so it's not recommended for you to carry clothes for every day. You can just carry small clothes in small batches, and then you can repeat your clothes. So that is pretty much everything I had to tell you about how to plan your first trip to Europe. I hope it was helpful for you to make and plan your first trip to Europe. And all the best for your visa, and all the best for your itinerary, and all the best for you to check all the bucket lists which I tried in my 2 weeks, and enjoy your whole experience of planning as well as traveling to Europe. Thank you.